Hello everyone, I am Santosh KG, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, MIT, Mysore. In today's session, I am going to solve some problems on the topic shear force and bending moment diagrams, which comes under module 3 of subject Mechanics of Materials, having subject code 18ME32. So, the given problem statement is like this: draw the shear force and bending moment diagram for a simply supported beam loaded as shown in the figure. So, the figure given is this one. So, here we can see that we are having a beam AB which is resting freely on the supports which are provided at point A and point B, and this beam is carrying 3 transverse point loads at point C, point D and at point E. Here we can see that the point load 2 kilonewton which is at point C is at a distance of 1.5 meter from point A. Similarly, the load 5 kilonewton which is applied at point D, it is at a distance of 1.5 meter from point C. Similarly, the load 4 kilonewton which is applied at point E, it is at a distance of 1.5 meters from point D, and also it is at a distance of 1.5 meters from point B. So, from this diagram we can conclude that this simply supported beam is having 3 transverse load and end supports at point A and B. As we know that when you apply the load, transverse load on the beam tends to move in the downward direction, but this is restricted by the supports which are provided at point A and point B. Let us say the reactions that are developed at the end supports, that is at point A, B, R A, and the reaction which is developed at the end support B, B, R B. Now, first let us try to find what is the magnitude of the reactions that are developed at the supports because of the application of these load. So, in order to find the reactions, so first I need to find the reactions R A and R B. In order to find the reactions, we can make use of the equilibrium conditions, because here we can see that even though the beam it is subjected to more number of load, it is at rest. So, since under the action of the forces the beam is at rest, we can say that the beam is under equilibrium. So, in order to maintain the beam under equilibrium, mathematically it should satisfy two conditions. One is sigma m equals 0 and another one is sigma f equals to 0. The meaning of sigma m equal to 0 is the summation of the moments that are created due to the various forces that are acting on the beam, it should be equal to 0. Similarly, when you add all the forces that are acting on a beam, then the summation will be 0. So, if these two conditions are satisfied, then we say that the beam it will be under equilibrium under the action of the given forces. So, we use that conditions to find the values of RA and RB. First, I will use the condition summation of moments equal to 0. We know that the moment it is a product of force into perpendicular distance. So, in order to get the moment, we need to measure the distance of force from the particular point. So, we can take the moment at point A, C, D, E or B, I will take the moment, let us say at point A. So when I take the summation of moments due to the various forces acting on a beam at point A, and if I add them, then the summation should become 0. We know that the moments, it can be either counterclockwise in nature or it can be clockwise in nature. So if the body is under equilibrium, then we can say that the summation of the moments which are creating counterclockwise couple, it should be equals to the summation of the moments which are creating the clockwise couple. So first let us see what is the moment that will be developed due to the reaction B. So the reaction B from point A is at a distance of 1.5 plus 1.5 plus 1.5 plus 1.5. So the total distance of RB from A, it is 6 meters. So RB into 6, it is going to create a moment which is going to rotate the beam in counterclockwise direction. So the moment due to the reaction B, it is counterclockwise, and the magnitude of that moment will be RB into the distance of B from A, it is 4 times 1.5, it is 6. Then we shall see what is the moment which will be created by a 4 kilonewton force which is applied at point E. So this 4 kilonewton force which is applied at point E is going to rotate the beam in clockwise direction. So I need to write the moment due to this 4 kilonewton force at the right hand side. So the moment due to 4 kilonewton force will be equals to 4, which is the force, and multiplied by the perpendicular distance of this force from point A. So the perpendicular distance between the point E and A, it is 3 times 1.5, which is 4.5. Similarly, if you see what is the type of moment which is created by a 5 kilonewton force, then you can see that this force is trying to rotate the beam in clockwise direction. So I should write the moment due to 5 kilonewton force towards the RH side. So here due to the 5 kilonewton force, we are having a moment which is equal to 5 into the distance of this force from A, it is 2 times 1.5, which is 3. Then due to this force 2 kilonewton, we get again a clockwise moment. So because of 2, I will get a clockwise moment, and the magnitude of that moment will be equals to force times its perpendicular distance from the point A. So its perpendicular distance from point A, it is 1.5. Therefore RB into 6 equals 4 into 4.5 plus 5 into 3 plus 2 into 1.5, and if you simplify this, you will get the right hand side value as 36. So RB into 6 equals 36, or the value of RB equals 36 divided by 6. So this will be equals to 6 kilonewton. So the value of the reaction that is developed at point B, it will be equals to 6 kilonewton. So I got the value of one of the reaction which is RB. Now I need to get one more reaction which is RA. So in order to find the value of RA, again I will be making use of one more equilibrium condition, which is sigma F equals to 0. And if you observe the type of loads that are acting on this beam, all are acting in the vertical direction, either in downward or it is in upward direction. So I will add all the forces which are acting in vertical direction. So when I add all the forces that are acting in vertical direction, the summation should be equals to 0. So in the vertical direction, the forces, it may be acting in the upward direction. So the forces which are acting in the upward direction, I am going to write it as UF, it should be equals to the forces which are acting in the downward direction. So DF represents the downward forces. So in this diagram, the upward forces that are acting on the given beam is reactions which are there at point A and point B. So that is, we are having the reaction RA at point A and the reaction RB at point B, and the summation of these two should be equals to the downward forces. So the downward forces here we are having is 2 kilonewton, the second force is 5, and the last one is 4 kilonewton which is acting at point E. So when you add all the three, you will get it as 5 plus 4 9 plus 2, it is 11 kilonewton. The value of RB is 6 plus RA. So 11 minus 6, the value of RA will be equals to 5 kilonewton. So this is the value of the reactions that are developed at the supports which are present at point A and point B. So at point B, the magnitude of reaction is equals to 6 kilonewton, whereas at point A, the magnitude of reaction developed is equals to 5 kilonewtons. Now we shall try to find what will be the values of the shear forces that are acting at each and every salient points. So shear forces. Here we are having 5 salient points. So one is A, C, D, E and B. So in order to determine the shear forces acting at the various salient points, we shall make the convention that we are always going to move from right side to left side. Then the movement is always from the right side towards the left side, and if the force, if it is acting in the downward direction, then we will consider that force as positive, and if the force is acting in the upward direction, then it should be considered with a negative sign when we are moving from right side to the left side. So this is the convention we will be using in order to find the shear forces that are acting at the various salient points. So the various salient points we are having is when we are moving from right to left are B, E, D, C and A. So first we shall find the shear force at point B. So while finding the shear forces at various salient points, we should make a note that at the given salient point, if we are having a shear force, then we need to find two values of shear force at that point. One by neglecting the shear force acting at that point, and the second one is by considering the shear force that is acting at that point. So here if you come to the point B, here we are having one shear force which is RB. So since we are having one shear force at B, we are finding two values of shear force at point B. Similarly, if we come to point E, at point E also we are having one shear force. So first we will find what is the shear force at point E by neglecting the shear force that is acting at E. Then we will find what is the shear force at same point E by considering the shear force that is acting at point E. Similarly, the next point we are having is D. At point D also we are having one shear force. Therefore, I should find two values of shear force at point D. One, by considering the shear force acting at D, and second by neglecting the shear force that is acting at point D. So, after D we are having point C. So, at point C also we need to find the two values of shear force, as we are having the shear force acting at point C. Similarly, at point A we are going to find two values of the shear forces. So, these are the various salient points we are having on the beam in a sequence when we are moving from right to left. So, when you are moving from right to left, the various salient points in a sequence we are having is, one is B, B is followed by E, E is followed by D, then D is followed by C, then C is followed by A. Now, the second convention we will be using is, whenever we are moving from right to left, the shear force that are acting in the downward direction should be considered as positive, whereas the shear force that are acting in the upward direction, it should be considered with the negative sign. So, first let us try to find what will be the value of shear force that are acting at point B by neglecting the shear force at point B. As we told earlier, we always move from right to left. So, when I move from right to left, if you see to the right side of B, we do not have any forces. Therefore, the shear force at point B is equals to 0. Now, if you consider the shear force acting at B, so when you are moving from this side, we get only this force that is acting at B, and it will be acting in upward direction. So, the magnitude of the force we get is 6 kilonewton, and the sign we should use for it is negative, because this force it is acting in upward direction. Then if we come to point C, so when we move from right side to left side, so up to point E we were having only one force at point B which is acting in upward direction. Therefore, the shear force at point E by neglecting the shear force acting at that point will be equals to minus 6 kilonewton. Now, if you consider the shear force that is acting at point E, now when you move from right side to left side, we get two shear forces, one is at B and another one is at E. At B, we are having a shear force of 6 kilonewton which is acting in upward direction, therefore I have written it with the negative sign. But if we come to point E, we are having a shear force of magnitude 4 kilonewton. Since it is acting in downward direction, I should denote it with a positive sign. So, minus 6 plus 4. So, it will be equals to how much? It is equals to minus 2 kilonewton, and this is the net force that will be acting at point E if you consider the shear force that is acting at point E. Similarly, when you come to point D, first we need to find the summation of shear forces that are acting at point D by neglecting the shear force that is acting at D. So, when you move from right to left, we get only two shear forces. One is 6 kilonewton and another one is 4 kilonewton. So, this 6 kilonewton force, it is acting in upward direction, therefore, I should denote it by a negative sign. Similarly, this 4 kilonewton, it is acting in downward direction, therefore, I should write it with a positive sign. Therefore, minus 6 plus 4 it will be equals to minus 2 kilonewton. Now let us try to find the another value of shear force at D by considering the shear force acting at D. So when you move from right to left, if you consider this force also, then we are having 3 forces up to point D. One is 6 kilonewton and another one is 4 and another one is 5. So the first force we get is 6. So second force we are going to get is 4 and the last force we are going to get is 5. So this 6 force, kilonewton force, it is acting in upward direction. Therefore, I should denote it with a negative sign, and these two forces, that is 4 kilonewton force and 5 kilonewton force, since they are acting in the downward direction, they should be with a positive sign. So 5 plus 4, it is 9, 9 minus 6, so this will be equals to plus 3 kilonewton. Now let us try to find what is the shear force that is acting at point C. So when you move from right to left, if you neglect this force, then we are having only 3 forces. One is 6, other one is 4 and another one is 5. So we are having 3 forces, one is 6, another one is 4 and the last one is 5. So this kilonewton force is acting in upward direction, therefore it is associated with negative sign, and these two forces, since they are acting in downward direction, they are associated with the positive sign, and the summation is equals to plus 3 kilonewton. Now if you come to point C, or if you calculate the shear force at C by considering the shear force at point C, then we are having 4 shear forces. One is having magnitude of 6, second is having a magnitude of 4, the next is having a magnitude of 5 and the last force is having a magnitude of 2. So the first force is 6, the second force is 4, the next force is 5 and the last force is 2. So out of this force, only 6 kilonewton force it is acting in upward, and the remaining 3 forces, they are acting in downward direction. So since this force is acting in upward direction, I am denoting it with negative sign, and since these 3 forces, they are acting in the downward direction, they are written with the positive sign. So when you add all this, you will get minus 6 plus 4 will be equals to minus 2. So minus 2 plus 2, it will cancel out and I will be left with plus 5 kilonewton. Now let us try to find what will be the value of shear force that is acting at point A by neglecting the shear forces that are acting at point A. If I neglect the shear force acting at point A, and if you move from right to left, then we get 4 different forces. One is minus 6, the second one is plus 4, the next one is plus 5 and the last one is plus 2. So this is equals to plus 5 kilonewton. And now let us try to find what is the shear force that will be acting at point A by considering the shear force that is acting at point A also. So when you move from right to left, we get totally 5 forces. So the first force is a upward 6 kilonewton force. So upward force is negative, then we get a downward 4 kilonewton force, then we get a downward 5 kilonewton force, then we get a downward 2 kilonewton force, then we get a upward 5 kilonewton. So upward 5 kilonewton is minus 5. So when I add this, plus 5 minus 5 will cancel out. So minus 6 plus 4, it is minus 2, minus 2 plus 2 is 0. So, in total the shear force that are acting at point A will be equals to 0 kilo Newton. Now, if you denote these forces graphically here, then it is called as a shear force diagram. What is a shear force diagram? Shear force diagram, it represents the graphical representation of the various forces that are acting on the beam. So, first, in order to write the shear force diagram, I am going to extend these lines. So, I am going to write a vertical lines from point A, C, B, E, then from B. So, after writing the vertical lines, then write one reference horizontal line. Now, we know that at point B, we are having two forces. One force is having a magnitude of 0 kilonewton and the second force is having a magnitude of minus 6 kilonewton. Now, if we come to the point E, there we are having two forces. One force is having a magnitude of minus 6 kilonewton and the second force is having a magnitude of minus 2 kilonewton. Now, you come to point D, there we have two shear forces. One shear force is having a magnitude of minus 2 kilonewton and the second force is having a magnitude of plus 3 kilonewton. Then if you come to the point C, there we are having two force. One force is having a magnitude of plus 3 kilonewton and the second force is having a magnitude of 5 kilonewton. Similarly, if we come to point A, there we are having two force. One force is having plus 5 kilonewton magnitude and the second force is having 0 kilonewton. So, one point we are having 5 kilonewton force and at another point we are having 0 kilonewton force. Now, you join all the points to get the shear force diagram. So, first I will join 0 to 6, then minus 6 to plus 6, then I will join 6 to minus 2, then from minus 2 to minus 2, then from minus 2 to plus 3, then from plus 3 to plus 3, again from 3 to 5, then from 5 to 5, then from 5 to 0. This portion or this area of the shear force diagram is having positive values, whereas this portion of the shear force diagram is having the negative values, and in total this graphical representation is called as a shear force diagram. Now, let us try to write the bending moment diagram for the same beam. In order to write the bending moment diagram, first we should find what will be the value of the bending moments at each and every salient points. So, first let us try to find the bending moments at various salient points. So, the various salient points we are having is when we move from right to left, they are B, E, D, C followed by A. So, first I should find what is the bending moment at point B followed by the bending moment at point E followed by the bending moment at point D. Then we need to find the bending moment at point C. Then at last we should find the bending moment at point A. So in order to find the bending moment, we should follow certain convention. So what is the convention I will choose is, so if the force acting on the beam, if it tends to rotate the beam in the upward direction, then I will consider such bending moment as positive. Whereas if the force acting on a beam, if it tends to rotate the beam in downward direction, then I will consider such bending moment with a negative sign. So first we will find what is the bending moment at point B. So when you try to find the bending moment at point B, I should move from right to left. So I will, the direction of movement is from right to left. So when you come from right to left, we can see that there are no forces acting towards the right side of B. Therefore, we don't get any bending moments at point B. Now, if you come to point E and if you move from right to left, we can see that there is one force RB which is going to create the bending moment at point E. So if I hold the beam at point E, so with respect to point B, this force RB is trying to rotate the beam in upward direction. So since the bending of the beam is upward due to RB, so I should denote it by the positive sign, and the magnitude of the bending moment will be equals to force times the distance of the force from the point E. So this force 6, it is at a distance of 1.5 meters from E. So 6 into 1.5. So 6 into 1.5 is 9 kilonewton meter. Now let us try to find what is the bending moment at point D. So in order to find the bending moment at point D, again I will move from right side to left side. So when I move from right side to left side, we get the two forces because of which we get the moment at D. One is because of this force 6. So 6 kilonewton is going to bend the beam in upward direction. Therefore I am going to denote it by positive sign. So plus 6 into distance of this 6 kilonewton force from D, it is 1.5 plus 1.5. So 6 into 3. Now if you come to the force at E, so it is 4 kilonewton and it is acting in downward direction. So when it is acting in downward direction, it tries to bend the beam in downward. Therefore the moment due to the 4 kilonewton force, it will be negative sign and it will be equals to minus 4 times its distance from point D is how much? 1.5. So 6 3 is 18 minus 4 into 1.5. So 4 into 1.5 is 6. So the total bending moment that is acting at point D, it will be equals to 12 kilonewton meter. Now if you come to the point C, so with respect to point C, when we move from right to left, we get three forces. One is 6 kilonewton force and another one is 4 and another one is 5. So the moment due to the 6 kilonewton force will be 6 into 1.5 plus 1.5 plus 1.5, it is 4.5. So plus 6 into 4.5, then this 4 kilonewton force will bend the beam in downward direction. So minus 4 and its distance from E is 3. Similarly, the distance of the 5 kilonewton force from point C, it is 1.5. Since this moment is trying to bend the beam in downward direction, so I am going to denote it by a negative sign. So when you add all this, you will get the value of moment at point C as 7.5 kilonewton meter. Now if you come to point A, so at point A you will get the bending moment due to these four forces which are acting at B, E, D followed by C. So the bending moment due to RB at point A will be equals to 6 times 6. Since it is going to bend the beam in upward direction, we are denoting it by a positive sign. Then this 4 kilonewton force is creating a negative bending moment, and its distance from point A, it is 4.5. Similarly, the force 5 kilonewton, it is going to create the downward bending, therefore it is denoted by a negative sign, and its distance from point A is 3 meters, and we will get a downward bending because of the force 2 kilonewton, and its distance from point A, it is 1.5. Now if you add all the bending moments, then you will get this value as 0 kilonewton meter. Now by making use of these bending moment values at various salient points, let us try to write the bending moment diagram. So in order to write the bending moment diagram, first I will write a reference line. So with respect to this reference line, so any value which is above the reference line, it will have the positive value, and if I write any point below the reference line, then it represents a negative value of the bending moment. But if you see all these values, all the values are positive, therefore we do not get any points below this reference line. So the bending moment at B, it is 0, and the bending moment at E, it is how much? 9 kilonewton meter, and the bending moment at point D is 12 kilonewton meter, and the bending moment at point C is how much? 7.5 kilonewton meter, and bending moment at point A, it is 0. Now join all the points in order to get the bending moment diagram. So first join 0 to 9, then 9 to 12, then 12 to 7, then from 7.5 to 0, and here the bending moment diagram we got is having only the positive values, and this represents the bending moment diagram for a simply supported beam loaded as shown in the figure. So from this diagram we can make certain conclusion. So the conclusions are like this: we always get the shear force, one value of shear force at the end supports as 0. Here we can see that one of the value of shear force at one end, that is B, it is equal to 0, and one shear force at the extreme left end, that is point A, it is equal to 0. So at extreme end we always get one value of shear force whose magnitude is always 0. So this is the first point we should remember. The second point we should remember is, here you can see that the moments at the end points is always 0. So the moment at the extreme right end B, it is 0, and the moment at the extreme right end A, it is also equals to 0. So this is the second point you should remember. So in a beam, so whenever you try to find a bending moment diagram, at the ends we always get the value of bending moment as 0. And the last thing we need to remember is, we can see that in a bending moment we are getting a maximum value of bending moment at this point. So at the point D, the maximum bending moment we are having is 12 kilonewton meter. And if you see the shear force diagram corresponding to this maximum bending moment, there we can see that the shear force is changing its sign from negative to positive. So in a shear force, if the forces is changing its sign either from negative to positive or from positive to negative, there we get a maximum bending moment. So the next point you should remember is, we get a maximum bending moment at a point where the shear force is changing its sign. So you need to remember these 3 points, and these 3 points will help you to solve the remaining problems on the shear force and bending moment diagram.